Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well, and in this video I'm talking about new verdicts and a late penalty that's been applied, as well as having a quick look at crucial Miami race sim data that's been revealed. And we'll start with the sim data. Now, in the opening 3 rounds of 2026, Mercedes locked out the front row at every opportunity, but that wasn't the case in Miami sprint qualifying, with Kimi Antonelli P2 and George Russell P6, and it came after McLaren and Ferrari introduced a lot of upgrades this weekend. However, could things be different in Miami sprint race? Basically, in the one and only practice session this weekend, we got to see proper race simulations, given the session was extended to 90 minutes. And Motorsport.com say that McLaren currently appears to be the third force in Miami in terms of race pace, even if their single lap performance looks stronger. And the publication went on to say the strongest long runs were delivered on average by the two Mercedes drivers. When adjusting the data for differing stint lengths and tyre compounds, championship leader Kimi Antonelli was the fastest driver on heavy fuel, albeit by a thin margin of 0.03 of a second per lap, ahead of teammate George Russell. This once again puts Mercedes clearly ahead of the rest of the field. Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari was the closest challenger. Now make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss my Formula 1 content and are kept up to date with F1 news. Recently I managed to reach 47,000 subscribers and I'm close now to 48,000. Your support means so much to me. Thank you so much for it. And just a quick note on that data, if that is the case, I'm not sure what George Russell can do from 6th on the grid, but Kimi Antonelli, if he can for once in 2026 avoid having a bad start, he could go on and win the Miami sprint race. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But let's move on to Alex Albon, who has received a late penalty and will drop down the grid for the Miami sprint, and this is to do with track limits. Basically, Albon made it into SQ2 and ended up in a theoretical 14th place for the race, but he'll start 19th as his SQ2 times and his fastest SQ1 lap has been taken away. Now, it was unusual how this all played out. Basically, Liam Lawson, the Racing Bulls, was knocked out in SQ1. However, at the start of SQ2, Lawson ran back to his car, as his team thought Albon might get swiftly disqualified for track limits. However, Albon ended up on track and Lawson lost out because of the oversight. And the stewards said in their decision document, during SQ1, car 23 clearly exceeded track limits in turn 6. However, this was not reported to the stewards until SQ2 had commenced. Car 23's time recorded on the lap that track limits were exceeded was sufficient to place it into SQ2. Hence, at the time, the stewards were informed that car 23 had left the track and that its lap should have been potentially deleted. It was already on track in SQ2. Now, there was another verdict on Lando Norris. As we know, he took pole for the Miami sprint race. However, after taking that pole position, he was placed under investigation, and basically this was for driving unnecessarily slowly at turn 17, potentially blocking Nico Hülkenberg's Audi. However, having heard from the driver, the stewards were satisfied that Norris did not need to be handed a penalty, and therefore Norris keeps his pole position. And the stewards' verdict said car 1 failed to stay below the required time limit as stipulated by the race director's competition notes. Car 1 was within the approved delta time for almost the whole lap until just before turn 17, where he was suddenly passed by car 27. That then forced car 1 to react to create a necessary and appropriate gap to set up a push lap. The stewards considered this an extenuating circumstance and determined that he did not drive unnecessarily slowly. But that's going to be the video from me. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care. Bye.